Well, we've had a rather frenetic start to this HF Worldwide trip to the country of Madagascar. We landed last night and got to the first hotel at about 01:30 in the morning, 4:30 this morning. We were up again and it's still in the dark. Took a bus back to the airport and have taken already today an internal flight down to Talaia down on the south coast. And it's now only 8:45 in the morning and the sun is strong and we're not quite ready with all our lotions, potions, hats and all the rest of it for the start of this walking tour. Fortunately, only about 15 minutes from the airport is a renowned arboretum.
1980 by an amateur botanist from Switzerland, Hermann Petimat. That was the name of that botanist. So anyway, he was died on 2000, 2001, like that. But he was really keen in plants and botany.
It is of course the end of winter here. To us it's a baking hot summer's day. So this particular tree here, the Pachipus, has a fruit similar to the mango, but at the moment it has no leaves, but it has a nice smell which comes from the leaves. Around Madagascar, particularly in the southern part here, there are many species here of the aloe, which is used for medicinal and other purposes, and also this aloardia tree, also referred to locally as the compass tree, because the top always points towards the sun. And its local name is the Napoleon hat tree. Look at the shape of the leaf. We're very close to the southern coastline here, and this boat, traditional boat, owned by the Bezo, B-E-Z-O, who are nomadic people, and they fish the seas. This is a typical home of the Mahafali settlements. They live in small houses with a basic wooden frame, and the walls are formed from a tangle of wood or agave poles, which are then plastered with mud to seal the gaps. Upon their death, the Mahafali create a tomb, and the zebu, or the cattle as we would refer to them, the number of heads here represented indicates the sort of wealth that this Mahafali tribesman would have had. By contrast, this is an Antandroi, another tribe, and these are people from the land of thorns, and they have a character and physique shaped by the harsh environment and were in their day formidable warriors. Well, it's only a gentle stroll and the pace is naturally exceedingly slow as we keep stopping at everything, but the mere fact we're standing after hours and hours of flight is most welcome today. This time of year, approaching spring, this is one of the flame trees, the Floribunda flame tree. Great sounds of the weaver birds. It's sort of springtime, nest building time, courtship time for them. They're flitting around all over here. Well, this is one of the indigenous baobab trees. This is the red bark baobab tree, and there are about 6 species of baobab unique to Madagascar. Well, this is not a baobab tree. This is in fact the elephant foot, related to the Madagascan periwinkle, not related to the baobab at all, although to the untrained eye it might look like it should. And here the adenium, out in wonderful flower, and it is related to the frangipani. And here is in fact one of the most endangered of the tortoise, the radiated tortoise.
The radiation is coming out that one, can't you?
A very unique shell there.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Radiated.
Here, one of the iridescent sunbirds. and a lot of bird life to be seen here. And this, the Madagascar bee eater.
Very cooperative.
Well, after the visit to the Arboretum, we came through to our resort hotel for just one night here, and we're now overlooking the ocean, complete with its mangrove swamps. It's windy, very hot and sunny. Well, early the next morning, it's only just gone 7:30. We left the beach resort in Caliente. A short ride away, we're already crossing the Tropic of Capricorn. Just passing through one of the local townships here, very typical of what we've seen so far in Madagascar. This next village is near to some sugarcane plantations where rum is being made. And one of our first chameleon, we'll probably see plenty.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about digital photography.
So that is the Ustalit chameleon. Ustalit, it's a juvenile size.
Well, we've travelled several hours from our overnight accommodation,
Just behind you.
and
Giant kua.
and we're getting ready for our first walk of the trip. And right behind us already is the giant kua.
Giant kua. Kua, not kuka. It belongs to the peculiar. It's one of the endemic families.
And just off the track, also here, wonderful chameleon. And just off the path, the Sifak lemur here, this white woolly, our first probably of hundreds of lemur in Madagascar. He's just turned his head there slightly for us.
Further back.
Yeah.
2 or 3 steps back.
Should I move away?
He's looking at me.
Yeah.
He's having a little feed, this one as well.
Excuse me, can I come through? Can I come through, please?
How many is it?
There are in fact 5 up there.
How many can you see now? There's so many of us.
And the heart of the forest is this one of 6 species of baobab tree endemic here to Madagascar. And this is a female tree reckoned to be 600 years old now. And here is the Zumbitsi lemur. Well, we thought we were looking at some little pretty white flowers here, but these are all insects.
Splendid leaf back.
Yeah, that's what we saw on television the other day. We did see it, I think
Well, if I hadn't seen them move, I would have thought they were definitely here.
And here, a nocturnal owl. And the flower on this tree attracts butterflies of all varieties in a way we've not seen before. Even better than a buddleia at home. And in the Zumbitsi Park headquarters, this green gecko.
And the head is green,
Yeah.
like brown
And on the curve.
A little later on, we carried on along the road to the sapphire mines, only discovered in 1998. Before then, this was a small community. Now 60,000 live here. These sand pits are all dug out by hand to get down to each layer. And down beneath is the remains of old riverbed, and it's amongst that the sapphires are found at pound for. So to get down to those lower levels where the pebbles and the deposits are, have to build this whole series of steps, so they're digging down a step at a time effectively, and the team works together to extract the sand to create the depth all around the edge for the spoils, new sand dunes if you like. Alternatively, these deep shafts are dug down, and there's a chap down there now who's just about to be hauled out. It's very hot, very sweaty work. And following him from what he's dug out is this sack of sand, again just for extraction at this stage. Again, it's another means of getting down to the pebble layer, the old riverbed level, well beneath. And then just a short way from there, we carried on in a northeasterly direction to the start of the Isalo National Park. We're spending 2 nights here and we'll explore it tomorrow. Well, overnight we stayed at the Relais de la Reine luxury hotel, and luxury is certainly a true description. It's set on the outskirts of the Isalo National Park, which is where we're heading for a walk today.
That means it's not very steep. There is steps. It doesn't take a long time. I mean, we can do it in less than 3 minutes, but no rush, no competition.
So just after 8:30 in the morning, under some reasonably strong sunshine, we set out for this walk into the Isalo National Park with the HF Worldwide Group in Madagascar. For the moment we have a little bit of shade through the trees as we're rising up onto the plateau above. Innocent looking things like this zebu pod are being pointed out to us. If you touch it, it's extremely itchy.
As you see here, we have a pretty nice flowers.
On the side, by comparison, the Madagascan sundew.
Then,
We're now looking at
you
a
know,
female stick insect
this one,
moving around,
3 months,
seriously well disguised.
but you know,
And here's the male stick insect. Once we'd risen to the plateau, again at a very gentle pace, just walking across with magnificent views all around. This is the home of the Barra people. As we walk along under the cliff, the Elephant's Foot Parkopodium. Again, many of these are endemic, very much only found here in Madagascar. There are lots of traditional cultures up here, and this is a tomb of the Sakalava people, some of the first to come across, mostly from Indonesia, to inhabit these islands. And there's one of their graves, a family grave, because it's in 3 sections, parents and children under. And here a lynx spider. Nearby another praying mantis, this one, the green one, shedding its skin. A short way further on we've reached the top of this very impressive vertical cliff with very commanding views out down to the plains beneath us. solitary periwinkle just on the path, and Napoleon's hat with its perpetual flower head. And here we have
Oh, he's collapsed.
a scorpion. He's so comatose now, he's all...
You didn't squash him, did you, Roland?
I'd like him to move now. Tickle him with a bit of grass or something. Yeah.
Just a moment.
Tickle is fancy.
I'm filming all of this. I'm going to have to edit a lot of this out.
Here we go.
Oh, there we are.
It's just, you can see it clearly.
And once we've completed the walk along the ridge here and descended again, the car park underneath is our collection point. But there's plenty of walking to do as yet. And then at the top of this cliff, we've got an impressive view down to the Cirque de Namaza, the valley beneath us. So before we started the descent, we passed this sandstone cliff, riddled with the ravages of time and the effect of wind on the many layers of sandstone laid down as deposits millions of years ago. And then started our descent down through on this sandstone path, and just ahead is one of the endemic palm trees found here. Our path continued to zigzag its way down the upper part of the valley before opening up into the forest beneath. And already we're looking back up at the cliff we had a rest at the top of earlier. And as we enter that forest, there's a troop of ring-tailed lemurs trying to keep themselves a bit hidden from us, I'm afraid, but yeah, it's just turned his head.
Martin, do you see the one over here that's moving?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably not much of an opportunity in the States.
Well, we ate our lunch alongside a very cool piece of river, sitting here in the shade, and some locals are playing around in the water. Then we made our way back out and carried on, and today, Sifaka Lemur.
Didn't get it.
After that sighting, we continued upstream on our way to the blue and black pools. And on the 10 o'clock position on the rock there, the quite rare Benson's rock thrush. A little bit of balancing axe needed here. Cautiously, and then you get there. And observing our antics from just above is this long-eared owl. And there's another of the rock thrush here. Then still a little higher up, one of our goals is here, what is called locally the Blue Pool. And just a short way above that, what is called the Black Pool. And a sighting here of a tree frog. Well, this insect goes under the glorious name of the snout bug. You're not doing a lot. And so around maybe 12 odd kilometres since we started, we've come to the end of a hot, rather sweaty, but very satisfying walk. Well, the next day it's very much a question of being on the road again, and I'm in the way here. Had to get run over by a tuk-tuk, and we just stopped in a town for some more supplies, fuel for the vehicle. Just a question of seeing how this town ticks. There's a lady breastfeeding her baby just on the left hand side there. Quite a common sight really. It's not a photo, you can play around with them, you know. Well, we've now come another hour from that township, and we're looking across to one of the sacred mountains in Madagascar, where the Barra tribe, which we learnt a bit about yesterday, also use this as one of their burial sites. So within this block of granite there are many burial chambers. And right by is this family unit, the fairly young looking mother there, and quite a collection of brothers and sisters, all quite impressed with the photographs that we've just taken of them. We're showing them their own photos here. You like to wave at us? Wave at us? Yeah, that's it, that's good. Yeah, all of you, just wave at me. This is a movie. Yeah, say hello. Yeah. Well, I've arrived at our picnic site, which is a little village. There's manioc drying in the background there, and the kids just find us as soon as we arrive. So this is cassava, manioc, whichever name you prefer, part of their staple diet. Provides them. This is all dried out, has to be reconstituted, grated and what have you for eating. Some being bored here for their family's lunch, I'm presuming. Well, despite their levels of standards that they have to live to, they've provided us with tablecloths to eat our Western style packed lunches from. Well, our picnic lunch is now over. We were sat in the shade, even with tablecloths. We've left a box of food we didn't need, a little bit of excessive amount supplied for the kids over there. And nearby, down by the waterside, a zebu crossing. It's also where the ladies do their daily washing. Short way from there, the mountain scenery is becoming more dramatic. And we're now beginning to see out to the east, and where we'll be camping for the next 2 nights. Well, glamping anyway.
What a great day for them.
What a fantastic opportunity there, good swim. Well, we've driven through on rough roads to this village community, and in order to get to Zara camp, which is now a rough road ahead, we need to transfer from our coach onto this truck. So our bags are currently being loaded on, and will soon be being loaded on as well. But as we're waiting, we are the centre of the tension by all the village children who rush over to find out what we're all about. After about 3/4 an hour on that bumpy road, we've come to our glamp site for a couple of nights. Looks very well organised, and in its own way, although it's dusty, it's very clean, everything's been brushed. There's a nice restaurant just down under there. The units are all canvas tents under, but with this grass roof and with facilities provided up the rear. But the setting is in a very imposing location, surrounded by these large granite mountains. Inside the structure, a nice simple layout with, I don't know, they look a bit like spades above the bed. That's rather odd. Mosquito net around both of them. Looks like a multi-pan sink, and sort of outside really, certainly out, there's no roof over it, is the shower. Zara camp is set in very pleasant grounds, nicely planted with some trees, even though it's quite windy currently. Now we took a walk down to the local village, and the two zebu here pulling a very basic cart. Stopped. Oh, they always do that, come on. Yeah. A bit of corn bashing going on there, I think. All four of them are at it now. Well, it's early the next morning, and by contrast to yesterday afternoon, there's not a breath of wind. And the sun, which has hardly risen, is already shining down on the vertical cliffs. And now looking round towards the Chameleon, which is the mountain top, the route we're heading out for today. Now we've set out on the walk today. Just this very small holding little rice paddy. Quite high walls on the fields there, and we're very limited. It's not an extensive area that's taken over to rice. And only a matter of a few metres further on, we're into some rough grassland, which the zebu here grows on. There's a church and house behind, corn drying, and the magnificent mountains towering above. And as we enter the village, some zebu are exiting the village. We are giving our water bottles away, and here we have most ingenious use for one. She's made a little instrument out of it.
And you take the wood from the
There's a token of activity going on here. I think it's a little bit for our show. It just shows what at young ages the kids are expected to help in the family home. And nearby the village, there's several crops growing, several vegetables and some banana. Rice paddy opposite as well. And nearby, on this rock, basking in the morning sunshine, this troop of ring-tailed lemur. And just on top of this rock, really well camouflaged, is the Madagascar nightjar. Well, our goal, the Chameleon, is the top of that rock face, just above us there. And we need to plod on up through this valley in order to get there. The view's back down through the sacred forest. It's sacred because again it's an important burial area for the local tribes, and there's much evidence of tombs where the bodies are laid to rest for up to a year before the bones are taken to higher ground and buried permanently in caves. Just up ahead of us, after the group has split, 7 of us are going up the Chameleon. We'll come through to the local piscine, and the kiddies here are all waiting to sell us something. Oh dear. Well, it's kind of some shell necklaces, which fortunately is not a man thing, so it's only the ladies who need to buy here. And hey ho, look what's happening. Mary is trying to buy one for 1,000. The price, that's about 25 pence, and she's surrounded by over half a dozen kids. But they're not being pushy yet, in fairness. They've been really good. I think some of the others are going in for a bit of bulk purchasing here, but I haven't heard them negotiate any discount, so they're just paying the straight 1,000 for each one, 5,000 for 5. I think I'd have gone for 6 for 5,000 personally. A little higher up, just growing out of the embankment here, a spider lily. And then a little higher up on the path in the open grassland, this really colourful cricket. And then now on our more or less final push up towards the top of the chameleon, a little bit more rocky again, slightly steeper zigzag path to take us up to the coal ahead under the rock formation known as the chameleon. Well, at the top of the chameleon, in fact I could hear my old own echo here, there's quite a little gap before you come back to the bit of rock we're on, where some of us, not quite all of us, have made it here today. It's just the hardy few. And from the top here I can hear the mew of a buzzard behind me, and we're looking down to the valley. The campsite is located beneath us. Our descent was on a different route, which just needed a little bit of care and attention for most of the way. All of the way, as we made our way down on this path to what will become a picnic site just ahead under that tree, hopefully. And so already we can look back to the very top, part of our descent route, and then our path continued to descend, and we have, well, yeah, okay, quite a bit to go yet before we hit the valley and the campsite way beneath us there. But a very rewarding and satisfying challenge that we've had to complete today. And so, nearly finally and nearly down, a quick look back up to the chameleon.
So it's rain, the ice could, function indefinitely, so it's kind of a situation. And the way the ice could turn 360 degrees each. So the reason why they moving like because of the function of the eyes and the brain is different.
Well, it's the next day and we're on the road again. We're just passing these paddy fields, and this is another job the zebu do. The zebu, really important creatures for the Malagasy people, and this is the trampling of the paddy fields. So the cattle are used here, or the zebu are used to trample the paddy fields in preparation for sowing of the rice crop. And so once that's done, they can get ready for planting of the young rice seedlings. All around here, quite a wet area is used on a small scale for the production of rice. And despite the colour of the water to us, this is the main washing site for today and every day, endlessly. And whenever we stop, whenever we get out of the coach, we're kind of the main centre of attention. We're very curious, but not pushy here at all, unlike some countries. Well, we're back on the tarmac sealed roads, making slightly bit of progress. Just got to the top of a pass with some great views back down to the south. So it's kind of leg stretch time. We do this quite regularly, a few hours of driving and then about a 3-kilometre walk, this time to spot some ring-tailed lemurs. Well, I guess on the basis it's ring-tailed lemurs we've come to see. It's ring-tailed lemurs we're already seeing. Quite high up in the canopy. And the one here is very clearly a male. And then a green
And just go
chameleon
close
here.
by these berries.
Could do with him moving. Come on, mister. Well, I'm not going to beat Usain Bolt's 100-metre record, am I?
Oh, he's moving his leg. It's another one. It's just eating the fruit and moving about quite a bit. Yeah. How many do you think are here? How many? Altogether, just here. No, just wondering how many there would be in this group, probably.
Yeah, so more than 20.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oo. Yala. Kung ito lang sa kalaking please. Kung ito, ito ano yung mura-mura ni.
Okay, we're going on.
Let's continue slowly.
And then we've got here a couple of grey-headed lovebirds.
Sorry, Al.
That is actually from the Lima?
Yeah.
I thought someone was making noise.
Мишко не будем. No.
I wonder what head of it. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, because they don't move in just very
And this has got a young baby on her back.
Yeah.
Finally a chameleon on the move.
What am I going to do at home when I've got all these?
In a courtyard nearby is what is called the orchid plant tree. The reason orchid type flower and a heart-shaped leaf.
Do you want this one, Martin? Do you want to hold them down?
And this is a paper production process from the bark of the local tree.
Oh yeah.
The bark has been boiled in water for several hours and now is being cobbled. Once it's been beaten and then weighed, the ball is then placed into water in a bucket and then spread here onto the screen, left there for over half an hour, and then the water is removed and they start the drying process. And the next stage is making these beautiful images using fresh flower petals and adhering them, placing them onto the still wet paper. then it's just a simple question of letting it naturally dry in the sun. And it doesn't take very long, only a few hours before the paper turns to white and the flower petals become embedded into the paper. And this is the assembly production line. I think the arches is on in the background. Through to a finished article. Well, nearby is a silk production factory, and here from the mulberry tree the pods are taken, and individually they're placed about half a dozen onto a spike here to then produce a complete cocoon such as
These
that.
are then transferred to this cook pot, and they're cooked for several days with some Malagasy soap, which is black.
And the end piece is this very fine, silky but still dirty silk. The thread is then extracted out. Very simple process.
Fast.
It's a three-man operation, or three-lady operation anyway. The silks are then dyed, all using natural ingredients, either vegetables or barks. Mushroom is one of them, to produce natural colours. The thread is used in the weaving process, again using a very traditional and simple process. This is a very coarse weave. I've never seen silk being done in such a coarse way before. And the inevitable retail shop for the end product.
Back to the coach.
Yeah.
Well, we've now moved through to the second largest city in Madagascar. The local butcher's market just on the street here. It's a fairly bustling place. There's little street food, little places where they're making food, served straight out into containers to eat now. Well, we've come through to the Lac Hotel and we're staying in this bungalow on stilts on the side of a lake. Some beautiful gardens, well manicured, and the main building houses the restaurant. We're all in slightly different style bungalows overlooking that lake.
Oh, there's a van, don't work it. Oh my god.
So today we're just going out in the coach back into town for a walk. We're now in the city of Fianarantsoa, and this is the only Roman Catholic church located in the city. Mostly a Christian, Protestant, Roman Catholic country. It's located, the whole city that is, located in a very hilly area, and the whole city involves a lot of gradients to access many of the buildings, industries and habitation. Okay, so this is a map of the old city. Bags of charcoal often seen carried over the shoulder, and plenty of fresh produce, freshly picked, available for sale also. Overstayed the parking here a bit. Well, we're in the local butcher's market now. Although it's outside to us, the quality and the freshness is clearly there. Adjacent is some selling a local sausage as well as chicken. High up on the hill, very much the old city here, where the buildings are much closer together. I've got here, I think, the local wash house. There's a bit of education going on. They're being told how to do the job properly. It's like a meeting. Well, there's a monument here to the effectively the preservation of the city, and it's on the
list of one of the most threatened historic sites of in the top 100 in the world. Never heard of the World Monument Watch before, but never mind.
There is someone keeping the water. They charge for the water. Only for getting the water from the...
And another Protestant church. This is the original brick-built church. And close by, quite interesting in design, shingle-tiled roof. Well, as we came up here, this lot were pretty industrious. Now we've walked through them, they kind of stopped. We think they were putting on a bit of a show, and we think it's a bit of community service, although they're not really admitting to it. So that old town leads us up to a commanding viewpoint around the whole city. It shows how hilly it is, but quite a lot of fertile land within the city, and quite a lot of properties, apartments, buildings, industry, as you would expect. We ambled on up around this cliff top to get more commanding views of the city beneath. There's no running water as such in the city, and all these yellow containers are queuing up to be filled up with water. When it's allocated, there's a pump that pumps water up from the river to a reservoir above, then it's allocated later in the day. But it being a Saturday, or maybe any day, football, fairly crude looking football, has been eagerly played here by some of the kids. But it is barefoot, except for the goalie who wears flip-flops. From here, there's a steep little descent to the few buildings beneath.
Westward there is a lake. He wants to imitate here.
So probably our final look back around the old city now. Church spires abound really, there's at least 3 in shot now. Several garden plants growing here, the iris, there a salvia, and alongside a cup of gold. Glorious flower there, and hibiscus. Well, they've got a very, whether it's a Saturday spring clean or not, but definitely they're trying to clean the place up nicely. Well, a short way from the city, we commenced a walk on a good track amongst the local villages. So we all enjoyed the views from the path across the paddy fields, another church on a little raised hillside over there, and a beautiful valley before us. Well, it doesn't take long before we gather a little entourage. Well, simple construction methods are used everywhere for the local houses. The clay here is made into bricks, and the bricks quite simply made are just left out in the sun here to dry. So the houses here all constructed from sun-baked bricks. Modern houses are constructed with tiling. More traditional houses have the grass roofs. In the foreground, the fields are being prepared for the planting of the rice. And I've learnt the lesson here, the properties are on the hillsides, not in floodplains. And nearby, on a small scale basis, a mixture of vegetables including potatoes, there's corn, a sweet potato, and other ground readying itself for planting. There's an ibis just landed on the bank between the paddy fields there. Our children here are taking fish out of the field there, catching them in the basket. Right, that's Lewis Hamilton following Nico Rosberg, I think. Heading on down the main street now with the bougainvillea arches over the entrances, gate entrance. And each doorway has its own guard. On the way there's a couple of little delicacies available. There's like a cake made from sweet corn, but under the lid of the pot here is zebu blood pudding, so what we call black pudding. And we carried on into the village just up behind. Many of the locals followed up behind us too. We have rucksacks, they don't bother. Village life.
Top me over your foot.
And once the rice has been cut, the stalks are dried and stacked here on the bough, and that's zebu fodder for later. As continued, there was a slightly more daunting section to cross, quite narrow. Zebu mother here has a calf, only like a 3-year-old's driving them. And then in this upper village, somehow we're going to have lunch. Don't know quite how it's going to manifest itself, but we'll see. Well, we were treated to a local lunch consisting of rice, pork with a kind of a spinach and a tomato dish. The green bowl in the middle is the rice we couldn't eat, but we're still all eating plenty. And in the house under, the top floor is always the kitchen, because they don't have chimneys, so the smoke and the soot makes the black and keeps the insects at bay underneath the grass roof. And now looking out over the village and to the fields beyond. And then there was also the opportunity to buy some of the local wares. This is before we got out of the room, of course. Well, the whole family was very appreciative of the fact that we bought up half of their supplies here that they produced, and we ate about half of their lunch. And then after lunch we had to descend from the village and come across on the little narrow sections alongside the paddy fields. Right, she's doing a bit of planting here and waving at the same time, multitasking at such a young age. Once planted, the double watering can appears, and over on the far side they're separating out the seedlings. So on the final section of the walk, just seeing a lot of stones being bashed down to size. As we're looking back across to the city itself. Well, the following morning there was a little bit of light rain falling, but undeterred we headed out from the Lac Hotel to a local tea plantation, which is in fact the only tea plantation in Madagascar, and here are the air dryers. Being Sunday, it's not running today. At the end of the production process, various grades, qualities and types of tea are produced. Placed into tea sacks here, don't use chests anymore, and then exported to Kenya, to Nairobi, the tea capital of the world, for onward distribution. And then inevitably, if you come into a tea plant, you've got to taste the real product, haven't you? I've come to look at the tea plantation now it's stopped raining, and the two things I'm surprised by here is how low level the bushes are, which means you have to stoop down much more to pick the fresh leaves from the top, but also the lack of access between every bush. Normally that's Sri Lanka and places, we've seen much more spacious planting. I've just done a short walk to the top of a local rise and now realise the extent of the plantation is such that it spreads all around. The section here has been heavily pruned and the fresh green shoots are just beginning to emerge again. But from our viewpoint, we're also able to look back down to the lake, Hotel du Lac with the green roof, where we've stayed for the last 2 nights. Today, we're moving on. Needless to say, wherever we are, we're also like a magnet to the local children. Here the school kids are trying to sell us little postcards they've made themselves. Well, we've only travelled for a couple of hours, but the topography of the land has changed considerably. So we're now part of the vast Ranamafana National Park. Before we investigate the park, we've come to a silk weaving factory where the young girls here are preparing the basic loom first. With a lot of skill. for the next stage. I don't know the technical names for all of these, where the weft is woven and it's compacted down and the final product begins to take shape. And the final scarves here, available at not crazy prices, between about £5 and £10 each really. But given the amount of labour that goes into them, that's pretty good value. Well, we're in the Ranamafana township and it's market day. It's Sunday afternoon, although it's beginning to shut down a bit now. It's nice and hot again now. It was a little bit cool and damp earlier. There's always street food available. Not so good for us really, but still. Well, we're slowly walking up the street and various things being pointed out to us. The fruits growing and some of the traditions and crafts around here. And here we are, let sleeping dogs lie. On this traveller's palm above us, this really bright green gecko.
Yeah. So just in case.